Guys, welcome back. So today we've got a review of what was our most popular iron of, most popular forged iron, I'll call it that, of 2018.
Yep.
P790 was our most popular iron from a sales perspective in the store. I don't class this and P790 in the same category.
No, generally, I guess a lower handicap player would gravitate
definitely
towards
more
this.
Of a player's iron in the Z765, which obviously you played and I played.
Yep.
P790 was in a slightly different category. So in that category, this was by far, to be honest, our best seller in 2018.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much this thing has under the hood that you wouldn't want.
Right.
You know, and it's been that way, to be honest, in the previous edition also. The 745 was a standout. So obviously today we want to take a look and compare directly and see what 785 does.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this is, I think, what people would consider largely a cosmetic update, but there are some refinements they've made.
That's a good way to put it. It's kind of a little bit of a couple little subtle changes rather than changing the DNA of the golf club. That is going to still stay. The people who were attracted to that, you know, will still be attracted to that.
For sure.
For the same reasons.
When you look at them quickly, set them down, this looks a little shorter blade length.
Yep.
Top line's a little thinner. Sole is definitely a little more narrow.
Noticeably narrower. Yep. That was the first thing when I saw it when our rep dropped them off for you and I, whenever that was, September or something like that. It was a while ago.
Yep.
So it was, you know, it was noticeably thinner, which I liked, to be honest.
I agree. Yeah.
You know,
nice.
I really like the idea of having a slightly more subtle sole. But like we saw when we were doing the comparison, a little bit more bounce in that V.
You were mentioning that, yeah. So they've added some bounce, and because the V sole is essentially in two pieces, you would call it functionally. So the front part of it is what you're getting more effective bounce on.
That's right. You have basically two measurements. You have a leading bounce measurement and you have a trail bounce measurement.
Gotcha.
So obviously, you know, the leading sort of bounce element is significantly higher, which is 19 degrees of bounce on the front edge of this one, which if that continued all the way to the back edge, Matty, would be significant.
Would be a problem at that point?
It would be, it'd be a lot of bounce, put it that way. You would maybe have some turf interaction issues if you were on the shallower end.
What is an iron with a flat-ish sole? I know they all camber. Like, what's a comparable number?
I mean, you're probably looking somewhere in the 6.
Oh, it's that low.
You know, 6 degree sort of range. Yeah, it's very
So this is cool. This is very different in that
very
sense.
Unique, and that was the one thing when the 745 first came out. You know, we were really taken by it, and obviously the ball speed retention. We were always wondering why that was, because it's a one-piece forged club. You know, Japanese forging. You know, we couldn't see any technical reason. It wasn't like it had a thin face where it was exceptionally quick off the face. What we kind of soon learned was it was the player's ability to retain ball speed through better turf interaction was where the beauty and the magic was on the original lineup. So they've just continued to kind of refine that. And you know, 765 was thinner than 745, and then this one has gotten thinner again. So you can definitely see where they're trending.
And maybe they've changed up the perimeter weighting a bit to make it, we'll have to find out how forgiving it is, but you would think on paper, being smaller iron, it would be less forgiving.
There are some subtle differences. I mean, if you look at it, the way the kind of cavity works, they've actually, it looks to me like they've lowered the CG fractionally on 785. If you look at where the placement is. So, you know, whether there was reason for that, but, you know, like we're going to get into with some other videos, you know, we know how much you really need to move weight around to significantly adjust CG. So it might be, you know, they would probably call it more tuning than anything else. Okay,
so a lot of the reason, it's a perfect segue, is this being so good. I mean, I've got a set, you've got a set, and I'm sure all the people that have a set saw this and went, oh, like, should I do this? Should I upgrade?
That's the thing right now, isn't it? You know, people are going to be asking themselves and looking probably to people like us to see whether there's value in an upgrade.
Absolutely.
You know, because talking to the guys at Srixon, they actually, there was some things the tour guys didn't love about 765, and they actually wanted to bring some 745 elements back. So they've kind of I've got a bit of the old with a bit of the new in there. And,
interesting.
I think it's the best edition I've had. I really
it looks
do.
fantastic, yeah. It really does. I like this kind of more satin finish that they've gone with.
Yep.
So why don't we get to it? We'll hit the original.
Let's hit yours, and you know, we know the new one has its work cut out because you're very comfortable with your irons now.
Yeah.
You've had them for a good period of time.
Certainly hit enough balls with them.
So we've got hole number 12 here at Pebble. A little bit downhill, Matty, so we've used this hole in the past, but it's for you it's going to play about a club short.
Right.
So if you
try to fly it
a 195 shot, 197 shot should be ideal.
Okay. That's good. Just turn it a bit.
Struck it well.
Yeah, as well struck. Just got it a little bit shut. That's
good
nice.
swing.
It's more like it.
Sounded the best one by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
More like the ball speed and that sort of thing that we would look for. So I think for you with the new ones, Matty, we talk a lot about sole performance, don't we? You know, we probably talk probably more about that than most people seem to talk about that element.
100% you do, yeah. It wasn't something I was even aware of, to be honest with you, prior to doing these kind of videos.
Well, when we have identified for most of our players now, there'll be outliers and exceptions in every rule, but for the shallower players, the thinner sole tends to work a fraction better.
Right.
You know, that's
which has been an interesting kind of revelation for people.
Yep. So if you get too much sole width on the shallow strikes, you tend to bottom out quite a lot, and you get a lot of turf interaction. So I would say the narrowness of the new sole would be good for you, because you're not a digger. You're not
generally no. I'm usually like 3 to 4 degrees down.
Yeah, you're fine. You know, today you're a couple of degrees, 2.5. So you will probably default more into shallow than steep.
Likely,
for the most
especially in the longer irons.
Yeah.
Maybe get a little steeper in the short irons, but not so much in the mid irons.
Definitely.
Okay, do you want to see a couple more just
Let's
to get an
see
average?
2 more, and then we'll switch over and do a little comparison.
Okay.
Good one.
It's pretty good, just a bit thin.
It's okay, yeah. Okay, Matty, 785 visuals.
I like the look of it at address a little better. So it's subtly shorter.
Subtly shorter, toe to heel.
Yeah, and the top line is definitely a little bit thinner.
So on the spec sheet from Srixon, they say there's a marginal difference in offset. Said there's more offset in the new one. Do you see it?
I don't see it.
No. Okay.
No.
It's something that, you know, interestingly enough, offset will generally make your ball go fractionally higher.
Okay. Interesting.
We talked about what looks to be like a little alteration to the sort of muscle at the back of the head.
Yep.
Looks to be lower than with the previous one. So both of those things map to the fact that this could potentially go a little bit higher.
Yep. And you think through spin mostly?
Through some launch, really.
Some launch and spin,
okay. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Uh-oh, have to buy new irons. It's the best swing.
I feel pretty good.
Yeah. That is awfully similar, though, in terms of launch conditions, isn't it?
Let's, sample size of one.
Sample size of one, but still.
But looking at that marginally, something caught my eye there. Launch angle spiked a fraction.
Yeah, about a degree.
Maybe because you didn't turn it as much.
Probably, yeah.
Retained a bit more loft.
Kept it down the left a little bit better.
I mean, the difference in strike.
Those are, yeah, definitely.
Just listening to that difference is.
It's like you said, it feels like there's a little less resistance through the turf.
There's your spin.
Okay. It's a little heavy.
Seemed to get away with it though.
It seemed like I'm going to get away
the
with
middle
it.
of the green.
Yeah.
Or on the right side, it's fine.
You wouldn't be totally upset with that. That's hit pretty well.
It's hard to hit one much better than that.
Yeah.
It's right on line.
The very best strikes, I think, feel a little bit better with this. And I guess that might have something to do with sole design. Can't think of any other reason why it would feel.
You'd have to think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, like what else could really be affecting the way the impact feels? It's made the same way, same materials and everything. It shouldn't feel too different.
Yeah. Okay, Matty, good job. Not much to really see between them, as we probably expected. Subtle differences.
That's a very good way of putting it. Yeah.
Probably, as we alluded to, we could hear some subtle, almost slight early entry into the strike with the wider sole on 765, and it's something I've always been kind of aware of, is when you've hit them is just there's a slight catching of the turf at times when your timing isn't absolutely on. True.
So there was a couple that we hit a little fat with both, and no doubt I got away with it a little bit better on this.
Your ball speed on the slight heavy strike with 785 was 131 rather than 135, and your ball speed with 765 was 126 rather than 135.
So easy to say that this caught more resistance.
It definitely did.
Didn't come out as quick.
You were being penalised more on the heavy strike for that.
Now, I don't think that would be crazy surprising to someone. What I found surprising is the very best strikes with both. The flush ones felt quite a bit better with this guy.
Interesting. Better in the sense of more solid?
More solid. In fact, I almost felt like I was catching them, because my tendency is to get them a little bit low.
Thin, yeah.
And I didn't feel that with this. So I don't know if it was subconscious, the fact that I felt like I could get in the turf a bit more because there's less resistance. But the very solid strikes, I did feel like the divot, I guess maybe was just, it wasn't slowing down the club to the same degree. So that was a bit more interesting to me, just because obviously it's nice to get forgiveness on a heavy shot, but when you hit one really well, even nicer to kind of get rewarded for that with the feel. Well,
interesting your point about feeling more solid on the slightly lower strikes, because obviously with the weight being a bit lower, that muscle being a little bit higher on 765, that would map to the CG being more in alignment with your strike, so it should feel more solid. I mean, that's exactly what should happen. So, yeah,
that makes sense, then, doesn't it?
Interesting enough. Definitely.
I think the ball flight difference in that this tended to draw more for me is turf interaction, as you said. I don't think that. Well, obviously, this having a bit more offset. If anything, you would have hoped to see the opposite. So it's clearly not enough offset to really make a difference to ball flight.
It really wasn't.
No.
It really is not much. I mean, I've hit both, and you know, I don't really see much of a difference once I'm actually in the process of hitting shots. Once my mind's on other things, such as, you know, trying to hit a decent shot, I'm not looking at that going, oh geez, that looks a certain way. So, you know, nice upgrades in certain spots. I think for people watching this, if they have 765s, you know, we're probably not telling anyone to rush out and change anytime soon.
Agree with that.
You know, you could if you know, wanted some slightly better turf interaction. In your case, you know, because someone who is a bit shallow, to me, and I'm the same way as you. You know, I'm on the shallower end. So, you know, I will probably try 785s, but, you know, we're in a fortunate position of being in the industry.
A bit easier,
I get it, you know, for somebody to go out and shell out, you know, the best part of, you know, $1,200 on a brand new set. You know,
it's a big decision.
It's a tough ask.
Especially if you just bought ones last year and your wife's on you about getting new clubs and stuff like that. I can see it. But I think the true test is hit them side by side. If you really don't feel even what I felt, or you don't really see a difference in the ball flight, I mean, certainly don't go and make a change at that point. You need to be able to quantify it to at least this degree.
Right. No, exactly it.
All right.
So good. No, I mean, a top performer, it's not going to move from its position for us, I wouldn't imagine. You know, I would say there's maybe a couple of other competitors. I mean, we've already seen some real movement from 919. In the store. We have seen.
Yeah, you were saying you thought that would be good.
I really do. I mean, hot metal is just such a good iron. Forged and Tour are also exceptional. So this one obviously most like the Forged 919. They're very comparable.
One thing I think would be good in another upcoming video is maybe do some 585 testing with Alan.
Yeah, definitely.
Let Al do some of that. Probably a pretty good iron for him, wouldn't it?
Be a great iron for Al. Yeah. It really would be. But it will be interesting, and before we do it, we'll be on record as saying Al is very shallow,
True,
isn't he?
He is very shallow.
So it will be interesting to see whether he should get more out of the 585, but whether, because he's shallow, this thinner sole actually makes the 785 work a little better.
Yeah,
so
good question.
For Captain Shallow at average speed, which iron's better? I think we can
That's a good idea for a video.
Into another one with that for sure.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Guys, let us know if you've been out and tried. I mean, this isn't, obviously we've reviewed these in the channel before, but we hadn't done it head to head with Matty in this case.
True.
And seen how you do with them. So let us know if you've been out and tried them in the couple of months that they've been out. This is test season for all of us, certainly, in colder climates. Most people down south are probably doing their testing right now.
Very true. Yep.
In 70-degree heat. We're devastated, aren't we?
Mine means -10 right now.
Devastated. Guys, hope you enjoyed it. Let us know if you have tried it. Leave your comments. Subscribe, as we've seen. Makes a huge difference to us for, again, the validation of the channel, for other entities to recognise the channel for opportunities. It means a great deal for us.
Absolutely.
Obviously, liking the channel liking the episodes makes a big difference as well.
Yep.
So we appreciate all your support, and we'll see you again soon.